Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about who you were in a past life. So if you guys are new to pick a card readings, I'm going to give you a quick little rundown of how it works. So basically, this is pile number 1, this is pile number 2, this is pile number 3, and this is pile number 4. So take a moment to find out the pile that you're the most drawn to, and then once you're done picking your pile, you can scroll down to the comments below or the description box to find the timestamp for your specific reading. But without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so for those of you who picked pile number 1, this reading is for you about who you were in a past life. So let's get started. Alright, so pile number 1, I'm getting the vibes like you guys were an authority figure in a past life, because the King of Swords always connects to authority figures. And then when I see this, it kind of reminds me of like the coat of arms where they're kind of like bearing their swords. So you guys might have been trained in some type of way. I'm also getting the vibe like you guys lived near the Mediterranean. I'm really feeling like Mediterranean vibes from this for some reason. And I'm also feeling like you guys were like knowledge seekers. Like you guys loved to learn things. You guys loved to get to know things, especially with that King of Swords as well. So I do feel like you guys might have been trained in like sword fighting, but also with the swords, it's such an intellectual sign. And with the Hermit, you guys might have been really into like reading, discovering like the hidden truths, especially with that Two of Swords. This is such a card that's about hidden truths. So you guys totally might have been some type of person who loved to research into like occult things. And don't get worried from the word occult. It literally just means hidden knowledge. So you guys were like into researching things that normal people didn't look into. So you guys might have been like astrologers in a past life. You guys might have been like Wiccans or Wiccas, or you know, kind of whatever you vibe towards. I do get the vibes that you guys lived next to the sea though, especially with, I don't know, he's just holding a lantern, and for some reason it's giving me sea vibes, especially with that Two of Swords right by the sea. And especially because we also have the card here of Treasure Island, which totally makes me feel like maybe you guys lived on some type of island, or at least near the ocean at the very least. Then we also have the Time to Go card. We also have the Knowledge card. So of course you guys were knowledge seekers, since we also have that Knowledge card right there. We also have the card, the Void. That makes me think of the Hermit card a lot, because the Void does deal with things that, again, are hidden, like hidden knowledges and stuff like that. So definitely you guys were knowledge seekers, and you guys researched the stuff that normal people didn't look into. So you were really wise, really smart. I'm getting kind of like wizard vibes from this. And so some of you guys might not believe in wizards and stuff like that, but I mean, like, I don't think you guys maybe did like the typical like movie type of wizard things, like casted spells, but I do think, you know, in a more realistic sense, you guys at least were like super knowledgeable about, you know, hidden truths. And I feel like you guys were a little bit of sort of like a wizard type of like energy. We do also have the card here of Forest. The Ocean of Ebb and Flow. Again, you guys definitely lived near the ocean, because we have the Treasure Island, we have Ebb and Flow. Definitely getting ocean vibes from this for sure. So also with this Time to Go card, this card's giving me the vibes. It gives me Hermit vibes. So I feel like you guys definitely liked your aloneness. You liked to be alone. You liked to go and research all of your stuff, research knowledge. You didn't like to be around big crowds. You weren't like a person that, you know, needed to have like a ton of friends around you. You definitely were more of a lone wolf, but in a very interesting sense. Like you were the really cool lone wolf that lived, you know, maybe out by a forest near the ocean, but you had your own little kind of like place set up, your own like little like cave or something that was like in a very nature-y place. Like you guys definitely didn't live in a city. I don't feel like you guys lived in a normal type of like house, even though of course we're talking about the past, so this is, you know, before modern homes, so we're not even talking about that, but you guys still kind of lived more like a Merlin type of lifestyle. If you guys know Merlin, like he lived out in the forest. So either you guys lived out in the forest or near the ocean, but I'm definitely getting a lot of ocean vibes from this for sure. All right, so we also have the card here of Separation. So again, I'm feeling the vibes like you guys were very alone in your past life with the Hermit card, the Time to Go, the Separation card, the Void. Like you guys like to be alone. The Two of Swords is also another alone card, but it's because you guys liked being alone. It's not because you guys were weird and people forced you away. Like you guys liked to be alone. You just love to research your like, you know, crazy magical powers. You like, maybe you were an actual real magician, but you didn't want to go into the real world because, you know, you didn't want people to find out that you actually had superpowers. But anyway, kind of joking, kind of not joking at the same time. We also do have, oh my gosh, of course, we have the card here of magical powers. I weave and clear, I east and know, magic secrets to me now show. So, oh my gosh, of course we have the magic card. You guys were totally like a magician in a past life. And I'm not meaning like the circus type magician. I mean like the magician, like wizard magician type of vibes. So definitely getting those vibes from you guys. And that's why you guys like to be alone, because you probably did have some sort of crazy magical powers. And whether you guys believe in that or not, you know, you can believe in it as much as you guys want to, but there's a little bit of truth to magic. We also have the card here, flow. Again, we have the card of ocean, ebb and flow, and we have the card of flow. We have treasure island. Like, there's so much talking here about being on the sea. So maybe you guys even lived on a boat and had your own little sailboat that you sailed around places. That could definitely be an option. But I totally feel like you guys lived by the ocean. Also, the vibe that I'm getting from this, if you guys ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean, and the witch girl, she lived kind of like on the ocean, but it was also kind of like in a foresty area, but she was all by herself. I forgot her name. I think her name was like Calypso or something, or Teodoma, something like that. Anyway, I'm getting those vibes. Like, you guys had that sort of lifestyle and you just loved researching your own stuff, like the hidden truths in the world. And you guys definitely liked your alone time. And you probably were alone most of your life, but it's because you chose to be, because you wanted to be, because you were just this magical person. And that's the vibes I'm getting for you guys. So that's actually like really exciting. That's really awesome. And you guys were really knowledgeable, like insanely knowledgeable. I also feel like you guys had everything you wanted with that Treasure Island card. Like, you guys were totally content being alone and being by yourself. You had everything that you wanted. You lived the exact life that you wanted. This is what you wanted. So just so you guys know, like, don't take offense to, you know, being alone or me saying that. It's like, literally, you guys wanted that. It's what you guys chose because it was your passion. Your passion was to dive into the occult, hidden things that normal people, normal society, like, you know, they used to like execute witches. And I don't mean to like bring up negative stuff, not at all. But that's probably why you guys wanted to be recluse, is because you believed in the supernatural so much and you had all this mystical knowledge that you just wanted to be alone and be your mystic self. So that is the vibes that I get for you guys, and this is actually a really exciting pile. I think this pile is awesome. So yeah, that's really cool, you guys. That's really, really cool. Very magical, pile number 1. So that is what I'm seeing for you guys, and I hope it resonated. If it did, leave me a comment down below telling me your guys' stories and your guys' thoughts, because I always love to hear that. And that's all for you, pile number 1. All right, so pile number 2, this reading is for you. If you guys picked pile number 2, this is all about your past life, so let's get started. All right, pile number 2, this is what I'm getting for you guys. So I feel like you guys, in your past life, you were a very passionate person. You were a very creative person. You were a very artsy person, especially beside the star. I feel like you guys had a lot of faith in a lot of things. I feel like you guys had an innocence to you, but you also had a lot of passion. You had a lot of like drive, motivation, a lot of dreams. You guys were totally a dreamer. Like, this is totally dreamer vibes right here. But I do feel like you guys were raised in your past life. You were raised by parents who weren't the dreamer type. They're more practical, and I feel like they wanted a practical life for you. And I feel like you didn't really want that. So you kind of had opposing opinions right here. So this is kind of like people coming together to talk about their opinions, but one of them is bringing in an opinion that's maybe not something that's normally talked about. So I do feel like you might have been a little bit of a rebel towards your family, and you were the odd one out that, you know, was a dreamer. You totally dreamed of fairy tales. You dreamed of like the perfect life. You had hope for the perfect life, the perfect soulmate. You also had big dreams of what you wanted to do and your own creativity. But maybe being an artist or something like that wasn't as practical. So yeah, the next cards that we have is Come to the Edge and Unfinished Symphony. So again, Unfinished Symphony makes me think of that creativity again. So you guys were totally creative souls, but I feel like you guys were held back a lot. by your family and the way that you were raised. And so I feel like that creativity might be playing out in your life now, because in your past life it might not have been fully fulfilled. Though I do feel like you guys did fill up some of it. I do feel like you guys kind of maybe rebelled a little bit at the end of your life in order to live out your more creativity or creative side. We also have the card here of passion. So again, this is talking so much about, you know, you guys are such passionate people. You had something that you really wanted to do, all this creativity, like bursting with creative ideas, but maybe you were held back a little bit, but it was finally able to come out. I feel like you guys finally came to the edge. There was a breaking point where you guys finally like stood at the edge and you were like, okay, time to go and live my dreams for me. So I feel like you guys did finally do that. Okay, especially when we have the extremes card right here. Okay, so this is totally making sense. So with these next few cards, so I do feel like you guys lived a still life in the beginning. You know, you followed what your parents said, that kind of stuff. I do also feel like you guys literally actually lived by a lake, especially with that star card. I'm totally seeing like lake vibes right here. But you guys lived kind of a still life according to what you were brought up to be raised like. But I feel like that passion just is so strong within you in your past life that eventually you went to your extremes and you probably, you know, burst. And that doesn't mean like literally, it just means like, you know, you probably got to a breaking point, a come to the edge point where you guys were just like, you know what, I need to live out my passion. I need to finish my symphony. And you guys finally were like, bam. And you guys went to go live your passions and leave behind the stillness that you guys were brought up to, you know, be in. We also have the card, make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. Wait, great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. Oh my gosh, don't know why I was reading that so weird. But yeah, so I also feel like this is giving me the vibes. This is giving me a couple different vibes. So for one thing, I do feel like you guys almost had like a Romeo-Juliet type of romance where you guys loved somebody, but maybe your family also kind of didn't approve because it was more of a creative, more passionate type of romance that you had with somebody, and maybe your family had different ideas like, oh, you should marry this type of person and this type of person. You're like, no, I want to marry the crazy artist, and maybe they can't support me. Maybe we're going to have a wild life and, you know, whatever, but you guys wanted that. It was who you were. You were that creative person. That's the life that you were happy living in. I feel like you got to a point where you're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna make the effort, and this great love, it was worth taking those steps away from your family in order to live out the great love that you had, finish your own symphony, your own creativity, live out your passion. This card right here, so if you guys are adults, you know, you can kind of get the vibes from this hot moon extreme cards right here. So that one kind of speaks for itself. You guys had a lot of passion in that romance, so very whirlwind type of romance. We also have the card here of strength, stability in this hour, endurance, stamina, I empower. So I do feel like you guys, you know, you built up that strength. You guys were still for most of your life. You finally built up that strength, came to the edge to finish your symphony, be with the person that you actually loved, fill out your creative dreams, and do things you were actually really passionate about. We also have the card here of upper world. So this also makes me feel like maybe you guys were brought up in a higher class, and in the higher class, maybe it wasn't normal to go off and marry the artist, but you guys were the more artsy type and you wanted to marry the artist. You didn't want to marry some like knight, and you didn't want to marry some like council person or whatever, you know. So I feel like you guys, you know, you had a lot of inner strength to be able to walk away and make the effort for what you wanted and break away from the upper world, break away from being in that higher class, because it's not the life you were passionate about. You wanted to live those passions. You wanted to have that passionate, extreme love that you had, and you chased after that. And so I'm feeling like these types of vibes from you guys. You know, those typical movies where those Romeo-Juliet type movies where they're not supposed to be together, but they have the extreme passion and they're just like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I feel like this was kind of like the essence of your guys' past life. Yeah, and I also feel like with that star card, like you guys ended up, the star also kind of deals with going to other lands, stuff like that, because she's taking the water and pouring it where it doesn't normally belong. Like water doesn't belong on land. And so you were an upper class person that didn't necessarily belong in the, you know, more peasant, and I'm not calling artists peasants, but you know, back in the day they were considered like kind of nothing. And so I'm just going based off, you know, politics and how they were back in the day. So you took your, you know, upper class citizenship and you went where you didn't belong. You went to the guy who was, or the girl or guy who was more of the lower class and was just an artist and probably barely made any money, but you didn't care. That's just what you wanted. It's what you did. So yeah, that's the vibes I'm getting for you guys. I also do feel like eventually your family like eventually accepted this though as well with the make the effort, because this is also talking about family, like great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. So I do feel like eventually you guys would have reconciled with your family, but I think it would have taken a while, and I feel like you were away for a while because this also deals with going to lands that you're not really familiar with. So I feel like you guys did end up like not seeing your family very much by going somewhere where it wasn't as familiar to you or anything like that, but eventually you guys all lived a happy kind of like life. But I feel like there was definitely that struggle, that Romeo and Juliet type of struggle at first. So that is what I see for you guys. Pile number 2, I hope it resonated. If it did, please leave me some comments down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I love hearing your guys' thoughts, and I hope you guys have a great week. All right, so if you guys picked pile number 3, this reading is for you, all about who you were in your past life. So let's get started. All right, so pile number 3, this is what I'm feeling for you guys. So I do feel like you guys kind of were kept, you know, pretty naive in your life. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean like the way that you guys are raised. I feel like you guys might have been raised in a little bit more of a higher class type of way, and I feel like they kept you away from maybe the actual stuff that might have gone on. So I do feel like you guys were a female in your past life, and that you guys weren't really told the more brutal things in life. I do feel like you guys kept a little bit more, you guys were kind of kept in the dark about the darkness in our world, and you're only kind of told about the happy good things and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like you also had a curious mind. You were a very curious person. I feel like you didn't believe them when they kind of told you that, but you still had that naivety. You didn't really know what existed out in the world, but you knew you were kept secret from something. You knew people weren't giving you the full truth. You knew nothing could be all happy-go-lucky all the time, but that's the kind of life that you were given and raised in. But you still had that sense. You were still smart enough to know otherwise, but you just didn't know what. And I feel like you guys were kind of kept a little bit, you know, primmed and proper. That's the word that keeps coming to my mind, is primmed and proper. So I do feel like maybe like your family, like maybe your father was like a duke, or like your father was somebody who worked in one of the castles. I'm definitely getting castle vibes from this, like in Europe. So I definitely feel like Renaissance type of age from this. The next cards that we have is Poised. Oh yeah, these flags totally remind me of Renaissance. And then we also have Serendipity. And so, okay, so I feel like you were intellectual enough to notice the signs that you were kind of being played into, you know, being kept naive. And so you were smart enough to know that you were being kept naive, but you totally saw the signs that, you know, you weren't being given like the full truth. You knew like there must be something else going on. But yeah, again, you were kept poised. You were kept primmed and proper. You were kept to be like a lady in a past life. And so this life, just based on knowing this kind of like energy, in this life you guys might be feminists, and you might really not like people treating you super girly in this life or anything like that. And this goes if you're a guy or a girl. But you might not like that just because I feel like you guys were kept in the dark for being a woman in a past life. And I don't mean this in a negative way. It's just like, this is how you were. But you were also raised really rich and royal. Like you guys got everything that you wanted. But I feel like you were smart enough to want to know more rather than just being given everything. Like, I feel like you guys were you just wanted to know the truth. But you're totally, you know, being kept prim and proper, and you guys liked it. You totally had like, you know, a perfect vanity. You're probably very beautiful, probably really sought after. You probably had a lot of eyes on you as well with that sun card. There was probably a lot of people that were always looking at you like, oh my gosh, like if only I could get her. But yeah, I'm totally feeling feminine vibes. You could have also been a male in a past life, but I'm just getting really feminine vibes from this. And even if you're a guy who chose this pile, sometimes we have past lives that are different genders, and that's totally normal and totally fine. The next card that we have here is clarity. Then we have resistance. Oh, and then we have emergence. This is really interesting. We also have the tree of grounding. This is getting really interesting here. So with this clarity card, I feel like you guys sought after clarity a lot in this life. Like, you guys wanted to know the truth. You didn't want to be kept naive. You were smart enough and you were badass enough to want to know the truth. I feel like you showed a lot of resistance, and I feel like maybe your family maybe thought like, wow, this girl just like can't be happy with normal girly things. She needs to know everything. She needs to know what the world's truly like, all these different things. And I feel like you showed a lot of resistance, had kind of a rebel nature growing up of like, you know what, you tell me, and like maybe you wanted to go sneak over the fence and see what was really happening outside of the castle. But I do feel like you guys were kind of raised in a castle type of area where you guys were kind of kept like, almost like if you guys ever watch Aladdin, kind of how Jasmine was always kept in the dark and she didn't really know what the townspeople were like and what a market was like or anything like that. I feel like you guys were kept in that sort of thing, but you guys eventually sought your clarity and you wanted it, you needed to know it, you had that resistance, you had that rebellious nature, you eventually found it out. And that's when we get the dragonfly of emergence. You guys finally emerged, and you guys finally were just like, you took control once you were old enough and you're like, I want to know. And I feel like you grew into such a beautiful person because of it, and you grew to be such a strong person because you knew there had to be more to this world than just, you know, dressing up nice for fancy dinners and going to this and just, you know, getting married off to some rich other duke and joining houses for this and that purpose. Like you were like, nah, there's more to this. So this is a really badass type of pile right here, type of life. So yeah, you guys totally emerged after that and, you know, blossomed into a really well-rounded person. And then we also have the card here of grounding. And so I feel like you guys were able to finally get a grasp on what life was really like, and it interested you. You enjoyed that. You didn't, you know, you were over being primmed and proper. You're like, I'm gonna emerge as the raw, truthful person, the real person. We also have the card here of honeymoon. Enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. So, okay, so this card's pretty interesting coming off right after. So I do get the feeling like you guys probably did find love with that honeymoon card. So you guys probably did get married. But this is interesting. Let's see what else we have here. So we have psychic protection and the arrow as our last card. So I feel like, again, with that psychic protection card, I don't necessarily feel like this life was about psychic protection. I feel like this life, it was more about protection. Like, you were always being protected by people. They wanted to keep you protected. They wanted to keep you primed, proper, and poised. You know, all those types of things. So that's what I'm feeling from this card. But I feel like you guys were the adventurer with that arrow card. You guys wanted to emerge. And you guys wanted that clarity. Arrows, you know, they're in one direction, they point in one direction, they only want to go in one direction. They're very clear on that. So you wanted that clarity. You had the resistance to go and be able to find that clarity, and you emerged and you found that clarity. And that was, you know, your entire goal, your whole life with that arrow card right there. It's something you really wanted, and you got that. But again, that honeymoon card, I do feel like you guys eventually, you know, got married. I also feel like with the honeymoon, this is just giving me travel vibes. So I feel like you guys finally were able to break free and kind of like leave from the primed, proper, and poised lifestyle and finally be able to travel and do things and emerge as your own self and really ground yourself into the world about what it really is and get that clarity on what the world really is. And so I definitely feel like it ended like that. And so you guys eventually, you know, did what you wanted. You had that badass nature, and you made your dreams happen. So that's what I'm feeling for you guys. I do feel like you guys did eventually get married, though, to somebody that you actually wanted to marry with the honeymoon card. Like, this is somebody you obviously actually wanted to marry. So that's what I see for you guys, pile number 3. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this, if it resonated with you guys or anything like that. Love to hear your guys' feedback. So let me know. And that's all I see for you, pile number 3. All right, so pile number 4, this reading is for you, all about who you were in your past life, so let's hop into it. All right, pile number 4, so this is what I'm seeing for you guys. So we have the Emperor in here, which makes me totally feel like you guys were in a sort of like higher up position, if not an actual king or queen when we have the Emperor right there. So, and I also feel like with the 7 of Wands, like you guys probably ran battles as well. Like you guys probably fought wars, and I don't feel like you guys necessarily fought them yourselves, but you guys kind of like planned them, led them type of thing, or you had people coming up to you trying to conquer your lands and you had to be like, no, not gonna happen, and engage in like battles and wars and stuff like that. But I'm feeling kind of Renaissance vibes from this, but this can also be like the wars that we know about, just whatever kind of resonates with you guys, because again, this is a general reading, so it's going to be different for a couple of you. So yeah, definitely you guys were some type of leader and had to fight off certain people that I feel like were trying to conquer your lands, not necessarily you trying to conquer others. I feel like you were more of a kinder person, more forgiving person when we have the 6 of Cups right here, but I feel like, you know, whatever land you had was really desirable, and people maybe invaded that and tried to take that from you. I'm also getting the vibes that you guys, like, while you were in your rulership, you had a lot to deal with. You had a lot going on. You were always trying to do your best for the like people that you led, the people that you were a king to or a queen to. You were always trying to do your best for them, and I feel like there's a lot going on, and you had a lot on your plate, you had a lot to handle, but you did it with kindness, you know, you did it with caring and grace. All right, so our next cards here is Tick-Tock the Clock and Peace. So again, you guys were, you strived for peace. With that 6 of Cups and then that Peace card, like you guys wanted peace, you wanted nothing but peace, and so when people came to, you know, maybe conquer your lands that time, maybe you had to enter battles and stuff, but you did it just to protect your kingdom. You didn't do it to try to conquer other people. Like, you definitely were a peaceful person, but I definitely feel like you guys were a royal type of person, and if not, this can also just be like you had your own family to protect, and you really wanted to protect that family that you had, whether you were royal or not, even though I'm definitely getting royal vibes from the Emperor, because it usually points towards that. We also have the card here, Protection, Faith, Ancestors, Iceberg. All right, so with this Protection card right here, again, that totally gives me the 7 of Wands vibes and the Peace card vibes. So you guys totally just wanted to protect your people. You weren't trying to go and cause stuff, anything like that. So with all of these cards that are here with this Iceberg card, you guys might have actually been like Native American. Also could have been in the Renaissance as well, but this also kind of like thinking about things that are really cold. That's either Europe or like North America. Sometimes Canada as well. So yeah, anywhere around there. This could have also been even in Russia, anything like that, anywhere north with that Iceberg card. And I feel like this is, you know, I feel like you were an emperor with that Ancestors card. Like, this has been a position that was handed down to you from your ancestors. You were in this position because you were born into it. But again, you guys had so much on your plate with that Tick-Tock clock. Like, I feel like always you had something going on, always. Just constantly stuff happening. And all you wanted to do was protect. But also with this Iceberg Submerged card, I feel like, you know, there might have been some battles that were lost with this Submerged card. But it doesn't mean all battles were lost. But I do get like a little bit of a vibe from that. We also have the card here of heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. So I feel like you wanted peace. You wanted to just protect, have peace, have those heart-to-heart conversations with the other people that were around you, but I feel like other people had their own ideas, their own motives. But you guys were very, you just wanted to keep the peace, that's for sure. We also have the card here of confidence and soul retrieval. So with confidence, I feel like, you know, you guys were already confident in who you were. You were confident in how big your kingdom was. It might have also been something that was really sought after. You guys might have had a lot of land. You guys might have had a really big kingdom. And I feel like you were confident with that, and that's why you didn't need to like go and conquer other things. That's why you just wanted peace, protection. And this again right here kind of gives me like peace vibes. Like she seems very peaceful. This also gives me India vibes. So some of you might have been in like a ruler leadership type of area back in India, because this is totally giving me India vibes right here. And then with this last card right here, the soul retrieval, I feel like your soul is still really connected to this past life, this emperor type of energy. And so you guys still might feel like a leader. You guys still might have that confidence of being a leader, and you guys might take on a leadership role even in this life, because I feel like this part of your soul is still very much with you. So I feel like you're still like that really peaceful person who is a natural protector, a natural provider, because the emperor is also, you know, a provider. He provides for all of the people. So I feel like you still have that in your nature with that soul retrieval card right there. I also feel like you guys need an extra card on your pile for some more information here. So let's pull out another card. All right, we have the card here of unlimited possibilities. All right, so with this, I feel like you guys, like in your life, you had everything that you wanted. Of course, you had those battles that you needed to warn off, kind of like fight away, but there was like unlimited potential with you. Like you were born into something really amazing, something really grand. I'm gonna try to pull one more card from the tarot. All right, so we got 2 cards. All right, so you guys were totally leaders, and you didn't just think about yourself. You thought about everybody, but you kind of had it all as well. You had all those riches. Yeah, you guys were definitely royal people. And this is also talking about you could have been a queen as well, but you were definitely born into a royal bloodline in your past life. And that's pretty much everything I see for you guys, pile number 4. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. I love hearing what you guys think about these readings, and if you guys resonate with them. Love hearing that. So definitely let me know. And that's all I see for you, pile number 4. All right, so that is all for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, definitely give it a really big thumbs up for me and hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. And share this video if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.